Hi folks, Barry Loman from Motorama Live and Team Hall Nass, standing here with the 2012 Ford F-250 Super Duty King Ranch. But we got something really special for you today. Welcome to the King Ranch. That's right, Motorama Live is here at the King Ranch in Kingsville, Texas, the largest ranch in the United States of America. God bless Texas, and it is the second largest ranch in the entire world. We're only bested by a little bit bigger piece of ground down in Australia. The King Ranch makes up over 360,000 acres of ranch land. They've got longhorns, they've got cattle. It was founded in 1863. I mean, it doesn't get any more Texas than this. It doesn't get any tougher and rugged a terrain than this. And you know what? It doesn't get any tougher than this Ford F-250 Super Duty King Ranch. When they say built Ford tough, the marriage of the Ford brand and the King Ranch brand, I want to call it the Ford Ranch because it just goes together that well. It's rough, it's tumble, it gets the job done. There's some rationale behind this. Unlike the Eddie Bauer edition that used to exist on Explorers, on the King Ranch edition of the Ford F-Series trucks, the King Ranch actually has in service right now over 80 Super Duty Ford trucks here on the farm. And that's not because they've got a sweetheart deal with Ford. No, in fact, the King Ranch already used Ford trucks, and in 1999, an executive from Ford Motor Company happened to take the tour here at the King Ranch, and while he was on the tour bus checking out the facilities, he noticed there's a lot of Ford trucks on this ranch. So when he talked to the executives at King Ranch, determined that they use Ford trucks because Ford trucks are tough enough to handle the job here at the King Ranch, which this is a hot environment, folks. I am sweating like a horse, and that is no pun intended. That's the God's honest truth. It's rough and tumble down here in South Texas on the King Ranch, and the Ford trucks have stood up to the test of time down here. So the Ford executive got together with the King Ranch executives and decided, you guys have such fine crafted leather goods from your own proprietary cattle that you raise here, why don't we get together on this and take some of that fine grain leather and make a really upgraded interior, and we'll have it the King Ranch Edition Ford. And of course, the top of the line, the Lariat Super Duty, you can get the King Ranch package on. This is by far the best $695 that you can spend as an option on any vehicle anywhere in the world that I'm aware of. Yeah, I'm normally about power and performance and all that kind of goodies, but I'm going to tell you the luxury of the leather interior, the leather seats, the quality, the craftsmanship of the leather made by the folks right here at the King Ranch in Kingsville, Texas, that goes in this Ford truck. $695 is a bargain, folks. These boots right here are King Ranch boots, as you can see. Of course, I'm proud of them. Being the gringo here, I've come down, I'm not being honest to God hillbilly, but I needed a new pair of cowboy boots, and I bought some at the King Ranch Saddle Shop. These boots weren't cheap, but I tell you something, when you price what these boots cost versus the bargain that you get on the interior in this truck, you realize just what a bargain that option price is for a King Ranch edition of your Ford truck. Now, I'm not out here to do a commercial for Ford, of course. I just love this truck this much. You know, we'd like to thank our friends over at Ford the last couple of years for not only introducing us to these, but letting us spend so much time driving their King Ranch Edition trucks. The F-150, the F-250, the F-350, and the F-450. We've had a lot of fun driving them. We really appreciate them. They're built Ford tough, and you know what? If they're tough enough for the King Ranch, and they're tough enough for these kind of conditions, they're tough enough for you. And speaking of the King Ranch Edition F-250, let me show you what really makes a King Ranch. I mean, look at the leather, the supple leather. And this is actually, if you've seen the cows here at the King Ranch, this is the color of the hide on the cows. And you've got this nice extra thick stitching here, branded with the King Ranch brand, of course, established in 1853. Right here, the center console, very, very supple, very thick leather. Double stitched. Of course, you got the running water logo of the King Ranch. And yes, I left these Sonic drinks in here on purpose because the Route 44 drinks, even look at the little cup holder part comes up out of there. That's an honest to God cup holder. And we've got 4 of them there. Of course, Our little Chick-fil-A moo cow there. That's Henry Moo, named after Henry Ford, because he spent so much time riding around these Ford trucks. Henry Moo, we had to bring him to the King Ranch. There's a little foolishness for you. What more would you expect from Team Hall Nass side of Motorama Live here? And then we've got, of course, 2 more cup holders here. Again, the Route 44s fit nicely in there. You can always take these sleeves out and make for an even bigger cup holder. Down here in the center, you can take these blocks out, and it runs deep all the way down in here, so you can store items deep down the center console. But just look, I mean, you've even got this nice leather stitching here on the door. Of course, your Super Duty door seal there. Your King Ranch stitching on the floor mats, nice carpet, and then all back to the interior throughout. It really is, like I said, it is by far $695 for the King Ranch version of the Ford F-Series trucks. It's the best bargain that you could possibly imagine on any kind of an interior option or any kind of option that you could add to a vehicle. And this is a tough leather interior too, because you got to figure there's a lot of different auto journalists and other types that get in now these vehicles, and it's built for an actual work interior. So not only does it look pretty and feel nice, but it's rugged. It's built to handle those Wranglers sliding in and out of here with the occasional pair of pliers or screwdriver or what have you sticking out, although I wouldn't recommend screwdriver rubbing it across the leather interior. That's nice, but it's an actual work interior in a work truck, and it's nice, it's luxurious, but you can work out of this truck, and therefore that's why it's available on the Super Duty line as well as just your regular F-Series line. It's additional toughness. That's King Ranch tough, and that's built Ford tough. One of the other things that's really, I just love about these, not only these F-Series trucks, but the Super Duty King Ranch edition here. Of course, you got a little bit of badging on here. I love the tailgate on these trucks, because you got your backup camera integrated in the handle here. But I love the step. Some of my Chevy friends, and yeah, I've still got some Chevy friends left, even after talking about all these Fords, because of course I grew up on a lot of Chevrolet trucks. The Chevy guys like to joke and call this a sissy step, or Ford calls it a man step. I'm gonna tell you something right now. I'm a big old boy, and I spent a lot of years working heavy construction and working outdoors, and I can't begin to tell you how much easier it makes life to be able to step up in a truck like this, especially if you're carrying chains, you're carrying something heavy, carrying up and in out of your truck to work it. Of course, you got the gooseneck adapter up in here. Carry your heavy load up here in the truck, or even if you're just tailgating. We've had this truck for a couple weeks now, and of course we had it over July 4th, which was just recently. We went and saw not one but 2 fireworks displays, and took 2 different groups of friends out with us on the 2 nights we went for fireworks. Both times we backed up in a field. This here's Texas after all. We backed this truck up in a field, park where we could see the fireworks off in the distance, open the tailgate, put the step down, and everybody just come up here and sat down in the bed. Had a big cooler up in here, big igloo cooler. You know, we drank our cold sodas, nice teas, and other adult refreshment beverages, nice and cold. Watching fireworks in the sky. All kinds of things you can do. But whether you're working or playing, the other nice thing about this step, when it's time to get down out the truck, that beats the old climb up over the tailgate, throw your leg over, and try to climb down and hope your foot doesn't slip off the bumper, which I have done a few times, and I'm sure a few y'all out there have done as well. I can't tell you how much better life is, not with a sissy step, with a man step. And if that ain't built Ford tough, I don't know what is. And of course, folks, as you would expect, the King Ranch originally was one of the first places that you could find longhorn cattle, not only in the state of Texas, but in the United States of America. To this date, there's only 2 herds of pure breed longhorn in the entire United States, maybe even in the entire world, but definitely in the United States. 2 herds of pure breed longhorn. One breed of them is right here. You can see my little friend hiding over in the trees right here. Beautiful longhorn cow. There's actually 3 of them over in there right now. The other 2 kind of hiding back here in the bushes. Because they're smart enough to get out of this heat. Apparently I'm not smart enough to get out of this heat. It's a good thing this truck's built tough to stand up this heat and these conditions down here, because it's tougher than I am, I tell you that right now. To our good friends over at Ford Motor Company who might be watching this video, and we hope that you do. We hope you watch all our Motorama live videos that we do on your products. If I could make a personal request, if I could put out a plea to you guys, I'll tell you something, I'd buy one of these trucks in a heartbeat. And yes, I've owned Chevy trucks my whole life. I'd buy one of these Ford F-Series trucks in a heartbeat. Of course, if I did, I want the King Ranch Edition. 2 things I'd like. One, I'd love a King Ranch Edition Raptor. If I could get that, I tell you what, I'd order one today. The other thing that I'd really like to see, I would love to see a 2nd level of King Ranch interior. Now, having the cover here and the seats and the steering wheel and the extra and the badging and the stitching, that's great. I love it, and it's a bargain at $695 option. But why not a $1,995 option and call it the King Ranch Full Moo package? And when I say full moo, I'm talking all the door panel. I'm talking about up here on the dash, all around the entire center console. Wrap it all in King Ranch leather. This nice, rich, burgundy King Ranch leather, just wrap it all. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. When people start talking about luxury, and I talk about how these King Ranch Edition Ford F-Series trucks are luxurious, you know, the guys, especially the European crowd, of course they don't have pickup trucks, but they start laughing about, oh, BMW, Mercedes, and even jump into talk about Lexus, you know, from the other side of the globe. They'll talk about that being a more luxurious, and I'm just some redneck that doesn't know what I'm talking about. Well, I'll tell you something right now. If you put a couple $1,000 worth of this King Ranch leather all over everything in here, it'll be way more luxurious than anything you find in a Porsche or an Audi or Mercedes. And some of y'all out there might be laughing your heads off right now, but I'll tell you something. You might even be able to charge $3,000 for a package like that. And I know thousands of people down here in the state of Texas that would not only be proud, but would line up with checkbooks in hand, ready to purchase a full moo package on the King Ranch. So Ford, if you're listening, we'd love to see a full moo edition King Ranch interior as a level 2 upgrade. If y'all could make that happen, I know the folks down here at the King Ranch would appreciate the business and the extra revenue opportunity. We as Texans would appreciate it, and it would just make a built Ford tough experience a little bit tougher and a lot more luxurious. So that's going to do it for Motorama Live and Team Hall Nass here at the King Ranch in Kingsville, Texas, with the Ford F-250 Super Duty King Ranch Edition. We encourage you all to come down here to South Texas and visit the King Ranch. It's an amazing place, and of course we encourage you to go out to your Ford dealer and try out the F-Series Super Duty trucks and try out the King Ranch Edition truck. Boy, it's a little windy out here today. I don't know if it's me talking or if it's just a hot desert air blowing here, but there's one thing we got to remind you as always. If you've just been passed, especially if you're driving an F-250 Super Duty King Ranch Ford truck, then you're not hauling nice.